committee of the whole meeting to order. Sorry?
Yes, we do now.
We do, yes. Okay. Welcome. Just a reminder that we are being recorded this evening. You can watch via the live stream on our YouTube channel or at your convenience on YouTube or our channel, and it'll be aired on Tele for the next 7 days. I'll begin by acknowledging that we are gathered here today in Unama'ki, the land of the fog, a part of Mi'kma'ki, the unceded traditional territory of the Mi'kmaq people since time immemorial. We honor and thank the Mi'kmaq for sharing their land and home with us. So you have an agenda in front of you that was circulated last week. Are there any additions to the agenda as circulated? Hearing none, I'll ask for a motion to approve.
So moved.
Moved by Councillor Mumbercat, seconded by Deputy Warden Sampson, that we adopt the agenda as circulated. Any discussion on that? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? That motion carries. So on pages 3 to 8 of your package, if you're following along at home, are the minutes from the September 9th, 2025 Committee of the Whole meeting. Look for any errors or omissions to the minutes as circulated, and if none, I would entertain a motion to approve. Moved by Deputy Warden Sampson to approve the minutes of the September 9th, 2025 Committee of the Whole meeting. Can I have a seconder?
Second.
Seconded by Councillor Mumbercat. No discussion on that? Great, then hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That motion carries. So tonight we have, next on our agenda is presentations to council. And so tonight's presentation, we have Keith McDonald, who is the CEO of the Municipality of the County of Inverness, regarding the Inverness County Asylum Commemoration Project, and you have someone with you. So I'll turn it over to you to introduce your partner in crime, and happy to hear what you have to say.
Thank you, Warden and Council and staff. Much appreciate availing the time for us to give you an update on a legacy project for Inverness County as well as our neighboring municipalities. It's one that's of historic nature, but also really defines how individuals with challenges in the past were treated. My colleague Morgan Murray is with me today. He's going to walk through the deck, and please ask any questions. I know usually it's at the end, but if there's anything you need clarity from during the presentation, do not hesitate to raise up your hand. And then we'll keep to our time frame, and any questions you may have, we'll be glad to answer.
Hi, everyone. I haven't met you all before, but I'm Morgan Murray. I'm the Director of Culture and Community Development with the Municipality of Inverness County. So I'm going to just run through kind of what the Inverness County Asylum was and what the commemoration project is and how we might be able to work together. So I'm going to start with a little bit of a historical overview. And this really relates to a fairly relevant topic now around how we treat people with disabilities and how they've been treated in the past. So just a quick timeline to give you sort of the historical context of the asylum and how it came to be. In 1754, way back, the first poorhouse opened in Halifax, and those were places to keep people who had disabilities, but also anybody who couldn't sustain themselves economically and things like that. In about 100 years later, the Mount Hope Asylum was for the insane opened in Halifax. So just a quick word on the language. The language that they used 150 some years ago is much different than the language we've come to understand is more appropriate these days. So some of the names of these institutions is quite dated. So that was the first institution specifically for people with mental disabilities. And then about 20 years later, it was recommended by the superintendent of Mount Hope Institution that more institutions were created throughout the province. And a few years after that, an act respecting jails, municipal lunatic asylums, and poorhouses was passed, which required municipalities to create institutions to house the people with disabilities in their own communities. So in 1890, the Inverness County Asylum opened near Mabu. It's kind of adjacent to the space where Delbray is now, if you're familiar with it. And it had enough space for 32 people they called inmates in 1890. And then in 1893, the neighboring municipalities of Richmond and Victoria signed agreements with Inverness County to send patients there in lieu of creating their own facilities. And that facility, which was originally built to house 32 people, soon surpassed over 100 residents. And so that caused a number of issues. And here's a quote from one of the provincial inspectors in 1917 that I'll just read the last part. These people are housed in a cheerless, ramshackle old fire trap which is poorly equipped and in bad repair and which is altogether unsuited for asylum purposes. So these deteriorating conditions throughout sort of the early part of the 20th century led eventually to the conclusion that a new facility needed to be built to house the number of individuals that were living there. And sort of that period of overcrowding was really defined by a lot of disease and sickness and poor conditions for the folks living there. In 1924, a new facility, a much larger facility, was built on the same site in 1924, and that facility operated until 1947 when it was destroyed by fire. There were two residents who were patients of the facility who were working in the laundry room in the basement. For their supervision, they were locked in the room, and then when the fire broke out, they didn't unlock the room, and Susan Barclay and Hannah Timmons died. And they were the last two people buried on the asylum cemetery, which I'll tell you about. So during the course of the history of the asylum, there was nearly 450 people died in the 57 years that it was active. And most of those people were returned to their home communities and their families, but there's believed to be 110 unmarked graves remain on the site on municipally owned land. And the two women who passed away in the fire were the last two buried there. After the fire, the site was sold at auction and has become, it's been an active dairy farm ever since. In 2009, a local historian named Stanley Beaton began to do pretty in-depth research on the history of the facility, who lived there, the living conditions, and also who died there. And he began also promoting a campaign for commemoration of the site and respect of the people who live there. And so as of last year, we've been working with Mr. Beaton to try and come up with a way to commemorate the site and recognize and pay respects to the folks who died and remain buried there. So like I said, at least 450 residents died at the site. There was no sort of standardized recordings of death until the early 1900s in Nova Scotia, so there may have been more earlier on. Like I said, it was overcrowded basically from 1893 up until it was rebuilt in 1924. And the number of deaths increased as the conditions at the original facility deteriorated. And in 1916, as many as 31 people died at the facility that year. Usually it was closer to 8 or 9. And like I said, those who were not collected or didn't have family to return to were buried on site. There's reports from people who worked there that Mr. Beaton talked to that oftentimes these burials would take place at night to not disturb the other residents and things like that. So it's quite alarming stories that he's collected over the years. So in the 57 years that the asylum operated, like I said, there were at least 447 recorded deaths. There's an estimated 110 unmarked graves on site. Of those, 88 names have been identified by Mr. Beaton through historical research. 40 are from Inverness County, 22 from Victoria County, 16 from Richmond County, 6 from outside Cape Breton, 3 from CBRM, and 1 from Port Hawkesbury. So just show you a little map of where it is. You can see Delbray Academy in the little bubble there On the right, the former asylum site is the big cornfield there. And the former cemetery is just a little plot kind of off to the side there. It remains kind of unkempt and unmarked to this day. So quickly, just what we're hoping to accomplish with the commemoration project is we're hoping to commemorate and pay respects, like I said, to the folks who lived there and were buried there. We're hoping to undertake a multi-year initiative to do some engagement and planning around how we can commemorate it, and then install some memorials to both respect those who've passed, but as well as educate the public about what went on there. Because there were as many as 15 of these institutions across the province at one point or another, and they're not really well known or commemorated. So the project, we looked around at some other similar kinds of commemoration projects that have taken place throughout North America and in Europe, and they kind of revolve around these 7 pieces. So we've kind of built our project around that. The first is truth-telling and acknowledgement, so formal statements from those who are responsible, such as the municipalities, that this was, a historic injustice that we're recognizing was unjust. Family and community and government engagement, so open up a process for any remaining descendants or family who continue to be interested in talking to us about the process and how to commemorate it. Also talking to community advocates and organizations and people who live with disabilities about their thoughts on the project, as well as government partners. Public memorialization is a big piece, so creating memorials and permanent markers to commemorate this. Education and storytelling is an important piece, so capturing that history, telling the story, making it publicly available so people can know and understand what happened. Ceremony and ritual, it's always sort of good to support annual memorial rituals and things like that. This site is particularly kind of tricky because it's through a cornfield and over 2 electric fences, so it's not always accessible. So we've talked about maybe having information plaques closer to the road. There's a trailhead right across the road for the Celtic Shores Trail. But then maybe once a year having an opportunity for community to visit the site. And then funding and stewardship is important, making sure that it doesn't fall into disrepair as it has over the years. And then municipal legacies is also an important piece. I know most municipalities are required to have a diversity, equity, inclusion, accessibility plan, or however you arrange the acronym. But making sure that events like this are known, that there's training available to staff about sort of the modern approaches to working with people with disabilities and things like that. So just quickly, this ties in pretty closely with the remedy you may be familiar with. It's the human rights remedy in Nova Scotia, which was a Nova Scotia Supreme Court ruling that basically, since the invention of poorhouses, we've been mistreating people with intellectual disabilities, and institutionalization is against their human rights, and that we need to change the whole system in the province. So there's a large effort underway right now, led by the provincial government, to rectify that. And it's about closing institutions and creating more individualized approaches to helping and caring for people with disabilities. And so this project is both a sort of a visible reminder of the history and the legacy of the treatment of individuals with disabilities in our communities. But also it represents kind of a turning point of how we can recognize we've learned, we've grown, and really build on that. So one of the things we want to do is engage with the province as part of that remedy work to not just commemorate this site, but all the sites across the province. And of course, ask the province for support in both the engagement and education pieces as well as the commemoration. So quickly, a proposed timeline for us is right as of right now, drafting public statements, finalizing a project plan and engagement plan over the next few months. Into early next year, through engagement and community interaction and things, finalizing a memorial plan, start to launch communications and those education pieces, and undergoing consultations on all of that. In the summer, and like I said, it's through a cornfield and across 2 electric fences, so we'll have to coordinate with harvest schedules and things like that. So it might be later on in the summer, early fall, as unveiling that memorial, having a public commemoration event, and ensuring that the community and sort of all the partners are well represented there. And then from then onward, like I said, annual events or whatever the community would like to do to commemorate that site, and ensuring that it's taken care of and the cemetery is treated with dignity. So in terms of a budget for the project, what we're anticipating is around $50,000 for a monument of some kind, and signage associated to that educational piece across at the trailhead. There's going to be some research and design of those things to create them and make sure they're accurate. Educational materials, so signage, website, any publication, things like that. Events in terms of the commemoration event and any consultations and things, and sort of miscellaneous travel, honoraria, et cetera, and then staff time, which we're providing in kind and would hope that our partners will as well. And then yearly maintenance, we would like to find an associated training program that could complement sort of the lessons we've learned from this and make that available to all municipalities. And then yearly maintenance, there's ongoing site maintenance fees, and then putting some money away to make sure that we can take care of the site and replace anything that needs replacing. So quickly, our ask is requesting our neighboring municipalities to join with us in requesting provincial support and engagement with this project. We sent a letter, at the same time we sent a letter to all our neighboring municipalities requesting the province join us. We've yet to hear anything back, so I think it would be good to send a reminder, hopefully from several municipalities. We are also asking all the partners to pass a formal resolution of acknowledgement of the asylum's history and each municipality's role in its existence and its history. And then when the site is ready, we would invite the partners to join in presenting remarks and commemorating the site when it's unveiled in 2026. In terms of sort of the tangible asks, we thought $1 per current resident towards the project costs, a one-time ask would be suitable. I forgot to take out the next part of the slide, so you can ignore that 10 cents per year. It's a cost that we're willing to take on. And then designate a staff person to work with the project team just to make sure that your municipality is represented. So overall, what that looks like would be a $9,000 ask from the municipality of the County of Richmond. Between all the municipal contributions, we would get around $50,000 of that anticipated $100,000, and we'd request the remaining half from the province. And there's an in-kind contribution in terms of staff time. That staff time would be for your municipality, probably an hour a month, just a quick meeting, and maybe a couple longer meetings or consultations or things that's going forward. So we're looking towards, like I said, later part of summer in 2026 for when the sort of construction period would take place. So that can be next fiscal year in terms of that funding, but that's kind of where we are and what we'd like to do. So happy to take any questions.
Thank you.
Yeah, so just so we're clear, so you're you're not, or you're no longer looking for the ongoing. Okay, perfect. That's good. The the other question was, so you're thinking as far as a monument or something across the road, because that was kind of what I was wondering looking at this. That's a very much a working farm kind of thing. So,
the map and show you.
yeah.
Can you see the cursor on the screen?
No.
So you see where it says To Mabu there, and the road goes up. So that's the West Mabu Road that goes to West Mabu Beach. there's a trailhead for the Celtic Shores Trail right there in a parking lot, and there's a few information panels there already. Yeah, exactly. So we would add, kind of off to the side, there's some room, and we've talked to the trails that we could add an information panel. And it's kind of nice because you're looking at the site, and the former asylum is where the farmhouse is, and you can kind of get a picture of what the site was like. And then, like I said, to get to the cemetery, you have to kind of go through the cornfield. So that would be something that we would have to sort of coordinate with the farm. You don't want to be tromping through the cornfield in late September. So just make sure that it's coordinated in terms of when the public goes to visit. And the farmer there, he's happy to accommodate. And Stanley Beaton's taken family members and things to the site over the years, and you just call the farmer and get access. But there's no real this is a logging road kind of going in behind it, but it's not passable by anything other than a four-wheel drive, so it's a little tricky.
Yeah, the trail would actually probably be a better spot in some ways because you're going to get more traffic that doesn't know anything, but like it's going to come across it just on their own without having to know or without having to look for it. Yeah.
We want to ensure that space there, the unmarked cemetery, has much more dignity around it. And unbeknownst to me, even a number of years ago, most folks in Mabu knew that there was an asylum, but not this in-depth knowledge until Stanley approached council about his research and pressed us to work on coming together and working with our neighbors to make a proper commemoration of what the facility was about.
Anyone else?
Thank you, Warden. Morgan, I guess a nice presentation, but some of the concerns I have are these public statements about our involvement with the history of this. At the time, I'm sure the people that were doing this thought they were doing the best thing. Institutions were all over. I mean, I had a family member in one. So now, I mean, our community, we have the community homes, and we brought a lot of people that were in institutions back. I think this is a lot of money. And with the province in debt like they are, I can't see them supporting this to the tune of $50,000. So what happens if you don't get the provincial money? Is this, $100,000 is a lot of money for, you're going to put monuments. How many are you putting? Is it just one, or is it the grave site that you want to?
We would work with their partnering municipalities to make a finalized design, but initially the thought was to have two markers, one along that trail bed that's also very accessible from the highway to Route 19, as well as one at the cemetery site. And in terms of the cost there, well, obviously if the province doesn't come on as a partner or as the lead municipal unit on this project, we would have to look at some additional funding for the initiative. And the ask to our neighboring municipalities would remain the same, unless they decide themselves that they would like to contribute more if the province doesn't come on board.
Go ahead.
Okay, is the graveyard now not being taken care of? And the graveyard is on the farmer's property, I take it?
Yes, this is correct. It has not been taken care of. The idea was to work with the landowner to ensure that there's access permitted in order to maintain it on an ongoing basis, and to ensure that those that lay there are commemorative in a much more respectful manner.
The cemetery itself is municipally owned, but
Oh yes, sorry, that's still
surrounded
yeah,
by
I apologize.
the farmer's property.
Yeah.
So-
in terms of the language, sorry. In terms of the language, like Morgan went back and it's all historical language that was used in his presentation. Maybe we can make adjustments going forward to other partners, but we wanted to utilize the language that was used at that time about these facilities. And your point is well taken. Obviously, the staff I'm sure did their best to help support these individuals. But at times, as Morgan pointed out, the facilities themselves were not provided the support and funding that you would hope to see such a facility be in, and the overcrowding was significant in the past.
Council? I'll just move it around a little bit.
Oh, yeah, that's no problem.
So to the points that you're asking for in terms of the request for provincial support, the court-ordered remedy is expected to cost well over $1 billion. The 50,000 here is not out of the realm of possibility, and in fact, I would be quite surprised if the province did not go good for the 50,000, given the mandate that they have been court-ordered to do. In terms of the resolution to acknowledge our role, the Premier in November of 2023 issued a 2-minute apology, video apology that he circulated to adults with disabilities in this province currently for egregious things that we did to them. This remedy is based on the fact that somebody who would have been a lovely resident at some of the places we have here, Lewsdale Group Homes, Almadam Hearts, spent 12 years living at the Nova Scotia Hospital. That is what we did up until a few years ago. So the apology that the Premier gave was not a slap in the face to people who did what they were told to do, what they thought was best, just like apologies about what we did to Japanese Canadians in internment, just like the apologies that we have been issuing around residential schools. None of those are meant to be a reflection of people who were following rules, who were doing what times of the day suggested. But in the spirit of reconciliation, which is something we should embrace in many aspects of our life, the issue of an apology to all people with disabilities, and then this from the Premier, I think that it is a nice act on our part to acknowledge that we were following in the footsteps of those around us. These weren't terrible people who did this, but there are at least 16 Richmond County residents with disabilities living in an unmarked grave in a cornfield. Yeah. So, like, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Warden. I wanted to provide a couple comments, not really in response to anything, just from your presentation in general. And first of all, I want to commend Stanley Beaton for bringing this to your attention. I mean, we have a section on our agenda at our Committee of the Whole for community acknowledgements, and I know he's not from Richmond County, but I'm skipping ahead, Warden, and I'm acknowledging his good work on this because I think it's important work. And I would agree with the Warden. I think there would be a real appetite politically to support this. And I know that budget conversation at this point in the game, especially where our current year grant funds are pretty much depleted, we've been investing heavily in community. I think this is something we're probably going to need to discuss at budget, and I'd be prepared to make a motion to that effect. What I would like to also do, though, and Morgan, you're still a great storyteller, by the way, great job. I would like to, have this conversation directed to our IDEA committee for more kind of conversation. What are other ways that maybe we could be working at a committee level to support, acknowledgement of this, and maybe that's a group that could be engaged in part of the, the statement preparation, that kind of thing. So, when it's time, I'll be happy to make motions to that effect. And great job. Thank you for bringing it forward.
And just Before we get to motions, I don't know if either of you were in Judic for L'Arche Cape Breton's Spring Fling, but they, every year as part of that, they do a tableau performance, and they did it on the history of where we were and how we got to the remedy. It includes the Inverness Asylum. It is something. I don't know if you got a chance to see it, but it is something.
I wasn't there for that. I was away, but we had staff members there who talked about it, and it was the first time a lot of people from the community heard about the asylum. So we'd really like to engage them and maybe do another one of those performances at the event. It was important. So,
is there anybody else have any discussion before we get to the possibility of motions? Okay, so go ahead.
Just to add, some historians also point out that sometimes it wasn't just individuals with challenges and disabilities. Sometimes it was people that were in inconvenience with family that would end up in one of these facilities. So that's why it's been so challenging to use the correct language, because historically we don't know for sure why most of the people were in the facilities, and it could be a wide ranging, but that's why we're using the more the remedy language currently, but I understand that some people may not have fit under that definition that were at the facility.
So to me, we have one motion that would defer the funding conversation to budget deliberation, which is not a commitment, it's a deferral to budget deliberations. But I would be interested, certainly, I chair this meeting, so I'm not able to make motions, but I would certainly be hopeful that we would put forth a motion to join the request for provincial support and pass a resolution to acknowledge the role. So I'll throw that out to staff. Councillor Member Kep?
Thanks, Warden, and I am prepared to make those motions, but I do want to say I think the language that you're using, although difficult to hear, is the right language to bring a shocking amount of attention to this, because this is the history. We can't pretend it's otherwise. So I will start by making a motion to defer this request for funding of $9,000 to budget.
Okay, so moved by Councillor Lumbercat, seconded by Deputy Warden Sampson. Is there any discussion on that? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Motion carried.
I'll jump back in. Thank you, Warden. I would also like to make a motion to sign the joint project request. I just lost the wording on the screen there, but that's okay. It was like coming out of my mouth. To sign the joint request for provincial support, to add Richmond County's name to that, and also to acknowledge our role in the Inverness County Asylum by passing a resolution, which I think we could engage our IDEA committee on in preparing. That was a mouthful.
Okay. So that resolution includes the two parts. Join a request for provincial support and pass a resolution, and then kind of passing it on to the IDEA committee. I don't think they... Would you will to see it as two? Okay. Well, the motion on the floor is for two. So do we have a seconder on the motion? Seconded by Deputy Warden Sampson. Any discussion on that? Would you like to make an amendment, Councillor Marchand, to separate? No. Okay. Okay. So any other discussion on that? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Nay, and have that recorded, please. Great. So thank you very much. Very grateful for you taking the long drive here and dodging the deer on your way. And yeah, you'll be dodging further. So thank you very much. Very worthwhile project, and our thanks to Mr. Beaton for taking this on. It's definitely God's work.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, so moving on, we have new business, which this might be the best grant application ever because I believe they are returning 1,000 and asking for 700, if I understand this. So we actually will net $300 potentially at the end of this situation. So you have in your package, for those folks following along, that is on pages 36 to 43. And so there's information in terms of a letter indicating they're not going to use the 1,000 we approved, but are now looking for 700. I wonder if Councillor Deputy Warden, do you have any, do you want to start us off?
So I guess given that the 1,000's not being used, I think at the time, if I recall correctly, I think it'd done 500 from the district and 500 from the general fund. And look in I have the booklet here.
Yes, it was
500. Yeah. 500 and 500. So I'd be willing to make a motion to go 350 from the district and 350 from the general.
So the motion is to do the two things, return the 500. I don't know how you want to word the motion.
Yeah. Should we rescind the original? Okay, so I'll make a motion to rescind the original approval at 500 from the district fund and 500 from the general fund. And then, should I do them in two separate? Yeah, okay. Sure.
Okay, so we have a motion to rescind the $1,000 to the Framboise Community Centre. Can I have a seconder for that? Seconded by Councillor Mumbercat. And a reminder, that was 500 from District 5 and 500 from the regional funds. So any discussion on that? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. Back to you.
I'll make a motion to approve the grant in the amount of $700, $350 coming from District 5 funds and $350 coming from the general funds.
Okay, so a motion on the floor is to, and seconded, okay, so moved by Deputy Warden, seconded by Councillor Marchand. Any discussion on that? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Oh, I'm sorry.
This was a totally different grant, right? Yeah. Yeah.
So any other discussion on that? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Those opposed, that motion carries. Item 7 on the agenda is review of warden's report. That's on page 44. If anybody has any questions, happy to entertain those. Did you have a question? Oh, okay, sorry. Okay, hearing none, the CAO's report follows that in your package, pages 45 to 50. Don't know if CAO has anything or if the councillors have any questions for you.
Madam Chair, if I may, just for interest, we are currently booking or trying to arrange for joint council meetings with both the Village of St. Peter's and Boladec. I reached out last week with the new band manager who was also a council member over at Boladec, so we're trying to arrange something there as well. And planning for St. Peter's is already underway, and I believe we have a tentative date for that one already. Yeah. And we're just reviewing action items and so that we're ready when the councils are sitting together.
Great. Any other?
Separate meetings.
Any other questions? Go ahead, Councillor Mumbercat.
I did have a question/comment. Maybe it's not a question, but it's about the Voyant alert. So I know our numbers were good on the uptake. I'm just wondering if it might be time, or if you have a planned timing for another sort of media push on it, because yeah, just happened to be chatting with some members of the public this week, and they were still asking me, what is that? So thank you.
Yeah, great. Okay, so moving on, the CAO has another item under his number 8 there, which is the low income property tax exemption program deadline for extension. We did this last year as well. Because our budget deliberations were when they were, and then because we needed to make a change within the policy, it actually only went up after the deadline had passed. So the date when it was pushed out onto our website was sometime in September, but the application deadline is actually the 15th of April. And so the information is in your briefing note. So looking to approve an extension to December 31st. It's worth noting that that date actually coincides with the senior property tax rebate. One's an exemption, one's a rebate, but for the sake of residents, it would certainly be an important date for them to remember. So moved by Councillor Marchand. Can I read this to you, Councillor Marchand, to see if you're agreeable, just because it includes a couple things?
Oh, yeah, the recommendation on page 2.
Yes, okay, so is it there? Yeah, so that the council approve an extension to the application deadline for the 2025 low-income property tax exemption program to December 31st, and that qualified applicants who have paid their property taxes in full receive their exemption amount by rebate check.
The only change, instead of just approving an extension, I would have the date changed to correspond with the provincial annually. Yeah,
Yeah, it would be
you know.
Yes. I
When
think
it's done.
yeah, so does that something that needs to change in our policy?
Yes.
Okay, so can we make the change for now?
Yeah.
Okay,
I'll second that.
okay, just hang on though. Is the motion that you're making including the,
Not everything but the change of date, the two actions.
so you're not including that? Great. I'm wondering if you need 2 or 3 motions. Can you tell me what motion you're making? I'm putting, go ahead.
This motion's number 1. Second motion will just be to have it reviewed at policy, change that date.
But does the motion you're saying, number 1, include the 2 parts?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, thank you.
The recommendation on
Yep.
Troy's
Yep, good.
staff, yes.
Okay, so the recommendation includes these 2 parts, which is to extend the deadline to December 31st, and qualified applicants who have paid their property taxes will receive that exemption amount by rebate check. Can I have a seconder? Seconded by Deputy Warden Sampson. Any other discussion on that? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. Councillor Marchand?
Second motion. My light was on. Second motion would be to have the tax exemption policy reviewed, to have the date changed completely to December 31st of every year.
Seconded by Councillor Mumbercat. Just for the sake of our argument, so it might save us some time at our committee, at our next bylaw and policy committee, does finance have any concerns with making that change permanent? Okay, great. Any other discussion on that? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Motion carried.
One of our quick batch.
Yes, right, that just means that we won't have to discuss it. Great, perfect. Okay, so community acknowledgements. I'm pleased tonight to speak about August's Volunteer of the Month. We have 2 tonight. So August's Volunteer of the Month is Judy Morrison. Judy Morrison of Grand River Falls has dedicated much of her life to supporting her community. She began volunteering back in the 1970s, and her commitment to helping others has continued ever since. Over the years, Judy has given her time to many local groups. She was an active member of the Grand River Fire Department Ladies Auxiliary, and for the past 8 years has been part of the Grand River Seniors. 9 years ago, Judy joined the Straight Richmond Palliative Care Society, where she has become a cherished volunteer. She spends time with patients at the Straight Richmond Hospital, offers comfort at the Society's Grief Comfort Teas, and helps raise awareness through annual Daisy Day campaign. Judy also shares her creativity on the decorating committee, which has helped dedicate 2 hospital rooms to palliative care, and is now improving the kitchen and family room. Her kindness and dedication continue to brighten the lives of many. Please join us in recognizing Judy for her hard work, dedication, and commitment to her community. We thank you for all you do for Richmond County. So Judy is a valued member of District 5, so I will throw it over to Deputy Warden Sampson.
I think it's mostly been said there, but yeah, she's a very familiar face at the Grand River Fire Hall whenever there'd be fundraising activities and stuff going on over the years. You always saw her there, it seems, every time. And it's funny, I recall when I first decided to run for council, one of the times stopping in to visit her, and that she talked to me as a former school board member of some of the things to expect, the phone calls and so on. But no, she's always been a great help to chat with on some stuff. Yeah.
Thank you very much. And so before I throw it out to anybody who would like to say something about our residents, we also have September's Volunteer of the Month, Catherine Groves. In 2010, after 13 years of living aboard their ship, Catherine and her husband made River Bourgeois their permanent home and started Tiny Farm. Catherine joined the River Bourgeois Community Service Society Board of Directors as treasurer, a role she continues to hold for 14 years, demonstrating unmatched dedication and ability. In addition, she contributes her time to the fundraising committee and is an active member of the Seniors Club. Catherine, to the people of River Bourgeois, the people of River Bourgeois are proud to call you and your husband their neighbors. We thank you for all you have given to our community and look forward to many more years of your involvement. Please join us in recognizing Catherine for her hard work, dedication, and commitment to her community. We thank you for all you do for Richmond County. And so, as a proud River Bourgeois resident, Councillor Mumbercat.
Thank you, Warden. I actually don't live in River Bourgeois, but my roots are there. Yes, but I would just, I guess, only add that I know the River Bourgeois Community Services Society is a very active board. So being the treasurer there for 14 years, I think would be no small task. And of course, the Seniors Club work is mentioned as well. I think we're really fortunate to have people like Catherine and her husband Bob settle here because they bring new ideas to our communities, and it's even better when they are motivated to roll up their sleeves and volunteer. So Catherine really, Catherine and Bob both set a great example, but also would really like to acknowledge the open arms with which River Bourgeois tends to welcome new people to their community. It's commendable. It's a community that wraps its arms quickly around the people who call it home, whether they've called it home for their lifetimes or a couple of years. So congratulations to Catherine.
Thank you very much. Before I turn it over to anyone else for specific shout-outs, I do want to say a couple things. First, I would like to pay tribute to the late, great Alfie McLeod. Alfie was buried last week sometime after a long illness, and we often think of Alfie McLeod's time as MLA in the CBRM region, but as his obituary pointed out, Alfie at a young age moved to District 5 in the Grand River Framboise area and actually attended St. Peter's District High as valedictorian and all the things at SPDH. And so certainly his commitment to Richmond and his compassion and call to action for all things in Richmond. They actually tallied up how much, as an auctioneer, Alfie raised, and it's over $1 million in his volunteer work as an auctioneer. Incredible partisan, and the best line. So I spent 2.5 hours in line to get into the wake, and it was the most fun you can have on a Wednesday. It was everybody talking to everybody in the lineup, and absolutely the best line of the whole night was somebody who said, "Oh wait, I think Alfie's talking to me." And they said, "What is he saying?" He's saying, "Look at all these people who's selling the 50-50 tickets." So in true Alfie fashion, that is his legacy. But, to Shirley and his children, Sandra, Daniel, and Jessica, we offer our sincerest condolences. On a more positive, brighter note, want to again congratulate Charlie Martel, who was celebrated at the Provincial Volunteer of the Year Award, so as Richmond County's resident and nominee for Provincial Volunteer of the Year. And do want to say shout out to Blaise Sampson, who received the Nova Scotia Strong Award at that same event. There is a letter of congratulations to him, but our fire services folks deserve all that respect and then some. So is there anyone else who would like to, maybe Deputy Warden?
We're going to stick heavy on the the great folks from Districts 4 and 5 tonight, you know. Eastern End is well represented tonight. Just wanted to send a quick shout out. Another McLeod with District 5 connections, David McLeod, formerly of Framboise, currently for several years now resides in Rockdale. Hanging up his hat, we'll say, or retiring from the Lordways Volunteer Fire Department, where he spent, I believe it's just about 25 years, and then he was 23 years previous to that in the Framboise Forestry Department. So I had a chance to speak to him today for a little while, and it was good. We're reminiscing on some of the stuff, and I've always had a lot of time for David. He was there in Lordways the 20 years I spent there. He was there previous to me being there, and one of these people that always brought a positive attitude, brought people together, and you know, you could always count on him to get stuff done. So just want to send a big thank you out to him and a quick shout out.
Very good. Oh, go ahead. Yeah, great.
Thank you, Warden. I wanted to do a couple of shout outs. It has been, to your point about Alfie, it's been a difficult couple of weeks in Richmond County. We've lost some pretty, incredible leaders in our communities. Louis Boudreau among them, Charles Carter just recently, and, Georgie Boudreau's wife as well, so Barb Boudreau. So, it's a real sign that our population is aging. So again, want to say a shout out to the Seniors Take Action Coalition, our senior safety coordinator, and all of the folks who are out there, and all of the seniors clubs who are out there too, supporting people as they, as they age, but also I see what's happening now are being offered grief sessions, and I think that work is extremely important. On a brighter note, as you mentioned, I do also want to say a congratulations to Celtic Air Services, our operator at the Alan J. McCackern Regional Airport in Port Hastings. They have a new partnership with Park Air that has resulted in the purchase of a new jet that will provide enhanced, more timely medevac services to people in this region, as well as executive charter services when the jet is not configured for medevac. So that's, those are real impacts happening on the ground as a result of our interest and our support for the Alan J. McCackern Regional Airport. And of course, driving around the community today and over the last number of days, it's Celtic Colours season in full swing. So a huge thank you again to all of the volunteers who are supporting all of those activities. There's concerts going on, there's jam sessions, there's workshops, there's so much going on, and it takes a host of people to lift it. So congratulations to everybody, and thank you to everybody who's making that happen.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for that. The Celtic Colours events have been people visiting from away. Holy cow! Between the weather and the leaves, they've gotten their money's worth and then some. And the performances have been just outstanding. And thank you to all the volunteers who make that happen. So moving on to correspondence, there are none that require our action, and so there are 4 that are available to you there. The first 2 are letters that we wrote. First one was to the CD&E for the letter of support for Celebration Almadam, and the second, as I mentioned earlier, to Blaise Sampson, a letter of congratulations. There is the third on page 56 of your package, if you're following along, the NSFM regarding moving the funding for libraries over to their advocacy line. And then there is a letter from Minister Lohr regarding the specific amendments, summary of amendments to the Municipal Modernization Act, and that is from page 57 to 61. So there will be lots to dive into on that over the next weeks, I'm sure. Any comments, concerns on any of those? Sure. So do you, yeah, so the question is, if based on the Minister of Municipal Affairs letter to us, which is a summary of amendments, which includes the amendments to homes lost to natural disaster, certainly open to a motion to send whatever that looks like to the Bylaw and Policy Committee.
Yeah, I'm just, that may be, yeah, we can, if you want to do something with that. So, based on the amendment regarding tax reductions due to natural disasters, I'd like to make a motion just that we refer this to Bylaw and Policy, just to get the ball rolling on it. Yeah.
Great, can I have a seconder on that? Seconded by Councillor Marchand. So, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carried. Councillor Marchand, did you have another, or you?
No, I guess.
You're all set?
Talking about those, that will be one.
Okay. Okay.
Because I think right now we just have a cash payment, right?
He's talking about the third one now, the.
Tax sales.
Tax sale payments to be allowed to be made electronically.
Yeah, should that be a separate one?
Do we need for that to go to bylaw,
It
or
could
do we
go there
want
and
to?
then we could have time to prepare for it,
So,
to make sure we.
Want a motion for
so
it?
would you like a
Please.
motion to that?
Sure.
Okay.
I'll make a motion then that we add that to the list of.
Okay, so this is the being able to pay your taxes with electronic.
sale payments.
Tax sale payments, sorry, yes. Okay, so motion on the floor, can I have a seconder? Seconded by Deputy Warden Sampson. Any discussion on that? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Motion is carried. So item number 11 is unfinished business. So we have a carryover item from our September meeting regarding the cost sharing and road paving of J-class roads. So for 26-27. So there is a staff report in your package. CAO, do we start the conversation off?
Sure, thank you, Warden. So yeah, the package was, or the memo was put together by our Director of Public Works last month. The standard form was circulated with what has been submitted in the previous years, and we're looking to see if there was anything identified out in your areas that are a J-class road that you would like worked on, so that we could prioritize and put in our submission before October 31st.
Councillor Mumbercat?
Thanks, Warden. And I know we've discussed Tenor Lane in the past at this table, and probably many tables, but I would like for us to seriously consider adding this to the list of roads to consider. I have noticed that the sign that was cut in half has been replaced, so that's really great. But the road is becoming almost impassable now when the winter hits, and I know that residents there are doing their best and taking it upon themselves in some cases to try to clear their way out. But without the proper drainage and the culverts in place, it's an uphill battle. So I would make a motion. Do we need a motion to that effect? I would like to make a motion to consider Tenor Lane adding it to this list, or adding it for consideration.
I think we have to finish tonight with 3 as a priority.
Yes.
So I don't think we need,
We can, the list can go on and on, but we're looking for the 3 to be submitted.
Like last time we submitted 4.
Yep.
okay.
This is what the.
Yeah.
And I think their example has 4 or 5 on it.
Because I thought we could, I thought we could submit, and then based on the cost, we could choose, like, was it just 3? Because we submitted 4. Priority,
Priority.
yeah.
And then, they come back with an estimated cost.
So am I understanding that you want to first add Tenor Lane, is it? Lane, to this table that already has Lobster Print Road, Sampson Road, Kings Road, Forgeron Road, and what you want to do first is add Tenor to that?
Right, and
Okay.
discuss priority.
And then discuss based on priorities. Okay, so, and am I right that, just so that we're all clear, that is 0.34 kilometers? Is that, or is that, maybe I have that wrong? Right?
Under listing, yep.
Okay, so it's 0.34, just so that we're comparing 0.34 kilometers, okay? And I think that GR means that it's gravel.
Yes.
That's what they call it, okay? Gravel. Okay, so we have a motion to add Twinor Lane to this list. Moved by Councillor Membercat, seconded by Deputy Warden Sampson. Any discussion on that? Go ahead, Councillor.
Councillor Memberkit, are you looking to get this paved if it's a gravel road? Or just, okay.
It's the only option.
That's what I was thinking. If it's a gravel road, you don't want it re-gravel, you want it paved, okay.
Yeah, I think that's our own. Okay, so any other discussion on that? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? That motion is carried. So where I think we want to land tonight, just so we can see where we're going, is we want to make a recommendation to council that an application be submitted and that for some J-class roads in order of priority. So we need to specify what that priority is. So I think what I'm hearing then is that the only ones we're going to consider are the 5 now that are on this list. So for your review, it is Lobster Plant Road, 2.34 kilometers, Sampson Road in Lardoise, which is 0.28 kilometers, Kings Road in Rockdale, which is 0.21-ish kilometers, Forgeron Road in West Arichat, which is 3.5 kilometers, and now 3.4 kilometers on Twinor Lane. 0.34, yeah, sorry. So I'm open to discussion if folks want to make the case for anything or offer some thoughts on who, what, when, where, why. Go ahead, Deputy Warden.
So not speaking of the final list, but just out of the 2 that I've suggested in the past from District 5, even though Sampson Road is older, I would like to flip the order on those 2, wherever they fall, only because the culvert situation on Kings Road being what it is, that's part of the issue there. There's a culvert that's in disrepair, we'll say. It's also near where there's a community mailbox on that road, so it gets a lot of people going in, turn around, and right near where that culvert is that has, caused issues in the past. We had an oil truck one time that poked a hole through it, we'll say. Anyhow, to me, that one, out of the 2 that I'm suggesting, that one would be of a higher level of importance, I think, at this time. So wherever it falls in the list, I'd just like to flip those.
Yeah, okay. So I think the reason they're on the list as is that back in 2024, leading up to 2024-25, Lobster Plant Road, Sampson Road, Kings Road, and Forgeron Road were listed, I believe, in that order. So what we seem to have some from the councillor from the district would be to say 1, 2, 1, 3, 2, 4. And I think we need to make a decision of where Twinor fits in 1, 3, 2, 4.
Yeah. Just when you look back at the application before, Marchand Lane was the top one we had submitted, got done. But then we had flipped Lobster Plant to the top. So I don't know that there's, I'm not dead set on these being, I just wanted to flip those 2 wherever they land. Yeah.
Can I ask, CEO, the length of Lobster Plant Road is significant. Mm-hmm. And we can only get 50% of this.
And part of it is our commitment to make this happen. If you move and submit projects, you have to have the commitment to the financial dollars to pay our share.
Which,
But you can turn it down.
You can.
well, right, I acknowledge that we are struggling a little bit in the commitments we have in Public Works around the arena and so on. So I certainly am mindful of the difference in length and what that would mean for us in terms of the commitment for that. Go ahead.
I would echo that as well, Warden, and I'm hesitant to say this because, of course, the councillor, Councillor Sampson is not here, but I do worry about the length of that road, our ability to support it, but also our ability to get anything approved when, when provincially they're looking at the same situation. so I guess question maybe, or like, do we know if the province said, okay, well, we can only do so much money in Richmond County, we'll pick the second one on their list? You know, is that how that would work, or is it number one, right?
Well,
Like,
the letter that came at, sometimes it's not dated, but it says, due to the program limits, we will not
Yes.
be able to proceed with anything, so.
yes,
Which has happened.
Which has happened,
Yeah.
right? So, but to be fair, there were small
Yeah.
lists on there, yeah. I wasn't here when the original list went in, so I'm happy to defer to where that 1, 2, 3 came from last time, I wasn't
Yeah.
here. But I am mindful that this particular year, we are, there, oh, thank you. I wasn't here when the list was generated the last time, but I am mindful of the obligation we would be left with if that one was chosen. And, you know, for like, but again, I'm not the counselor for that area, but being an Almadam counselor, I appreciate that it is in terrible disrepair. I understand that, but we're going to have to make a decision. So thoughts on how we come to Councillor Marchand? None in your street. Why don't you decide?
I would have said the lobster plant one, but where's the list you're talking about?
So the list I'm talking about is the list, it's in the letter that we saw before. No, sorry. It was the list that was submitted last year, and we got nothing. And before that, Marchand Lane was done. So. Go ahead. Go ahead, Councillor Marchand, or Member Kep.
Thanks, Warden. And, you know, I do think, if I'm recalling correctly from the discussions when we submitted that list back when, it was about the economic impact of that business down that road, right? And how much business that takes to the county. So it's a great point. But I just don't know that it's realistic for us to take on at this time. I'd be more in favor of an order that would put the smaller roads first and then maybe work with the province to see if we could do, even if we could do the Lobster Plant Road in phases, like maybe do we have to do it all at once? Could we come up with a 1-2 year plan just to make it more financially viable for us? It may be, yeah, I'm sure it would, but you see the province doing highway repairs in chunks, right? Like, just sometimes financially, it's not feasible to do all in one.
So are we looking at submitting with all 5? Like, is that something we would want to do?
We could just put 2 on there if you want.
Right, I think 5 and ordering them and putting, like, that would be, like, that's a lot if they say sure.
I can't see them approving.
Right, so do we want to put 3 or 4 of the small ones? Do we want to put all 5?
I don't think I'd have a problem with 5, just to order them.
Okay,
You know. I don't know that the province cares in the sense that they'll just
yeah,
decide what
yeah,
they
yeah,
do, whether
yeah.
it's 3 or 10, right?
And Councillor Sampson will have an opportunity at the regular council.
Yes, that's right,
contribute to
yeah.
this discussion as well.
Okay, so, do we want to not prioritize this evening and prioritize at the council meeting? Agree to move forward with these 5, or do we want to put something and then amend it, put it up for amendment, should somebody decide they want to do that?
Decide tonight.
Okay, so,
You want Kings Road switched with
Sampson Road.
yeah,
Now, whether or not it's a, you know.
Yeah, yeah,
wherever it
yeah,
falls, I just, of the 2 in my district, I think that one has a higher priority because of the safety concerns that
Yeah, I agree.
okay. So what I'm hearing so far is that when Alice is taller than Mary and Mary is taller than whatever, but in that vein, we know that number 1 is a long road and that we are concerned about the financial implications of us being able to do that. So I would suggest that at this meeting, that be moved down further in the 5, subject to conversations with the councillor from that area. I think what we therefore have is of 3, 2, 3, 4, and 5, 3 would be above 2, and then we're looking for some order of 3, 2, 4, and 5. So where do 4 and 5, Bergeron Road and Twinar Lane, fall in that priority list? I don't think there's any road that's in good shape on this list. I think we could talk about all the ditches and all of the, I'm at a loss as to how we prioritize, to be honest. Go ahead.
I'm just going to offer a potential priority order based on trying to get some of these smaller projects done. And what I know about the state of them, although I will be honest, I'm not sure about the state of Forgeron Road. I was down Lobster Plant Road just a couple weeks ago, so I'm very familiar with that. But my suggestion would be to order them as Kings Road, Tenor Lane, Sampson Road, Forgeron Road, and Lobster Plant Road. That's a suggestion I'm making based on the length and just from my personal knowledge. But if someone has more information about the state of Forgeron Road,
So what you're talking, yeah, and Forgeron Road is it's in rough shape. I can't speak to, the difference is it's not gravel, and I think that's where some of that, it's the double chip seal thing that's called there. Okay, so so number 3 is Kings Road is based on it being 0.21-ish kilometers.
Yeah.
Then Sampson Road is 0.28.
Mm-hmm. And the reason, so the reason I was thinking Toinar's Lane ahead of it is because it's been a conversation since a couple of years now. It just hadn't made the list before. And I don't think it would require, I don't think it would take much to get the drainage right. But the bottom line is we can't do anything unless we go through these programs. Now, maybe there is a double seal. It looks like we can't request that because in the example above, it says that we could do the double chip seal or something like that.
Well, one of these, Bergeron Road is that.
Yeah. Well, but that's what it is currently.
But if you look at the samples, it says above on the high road, for the high road, it says it's currently gravel, and they're suggesting to change it to double chip. So
I guess my concern about that is that Tenor was not on a list that got submitted for whatever reason. If we strictly look at the order of those, Kings would be 0.21, Sampson would be 0.28, Tenor would be 0.34, Forgeron would be 0.35. I don't know, Deputy, if you have a concern about Sampson being below Tenor. Do you have any, that's not do or die on for you? Okay. And I think that it is our responsibility to acknowledge that we have roads that should all be done, yes, but we are also stewards of the resources that are in front of us, and we know that this is going to be a difficult go. Yep, go ahead, Councillor Marchand.
Do we know the residents on Forgeron Road? The number of residents that we would impact with Forgeron or Twino or Kings or Sampson? Because Kings, you definitely want that ahead because of the mailbox.
Yeah, there's at least 4 houses, anyway, beyond the mailbox there, I think.
So are you suggesting that Sampson move to number 4? So Kings, Tenor, Forgeron, Sampson?
No, I'm saying Kings, he wants that one done.
Yes.
What's on Twino Lane, what's on Forgeron Road, what's on Sampson?
In terms of the number of houses,
I'd have to check. I know there's a new house that was just built, or there are people moving into a new house there anyway. I don't know when it was built exactly. I think this week or next week or something, but I'd have to go and count it. Yeah.
I'd say list them in priority based on the residents other than the one where the mailbox is. So Kings first, and then the other 3 base, because this Forgeron Road, I've heard that it's not in great shape. Oh, yeah. I don't know how many people are on it, but I've heard that name before. The other ones I don't even know where they're at, so.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And so so can we do this? Can we make a decision here and then make sure that we know the things that we'd like to have brought back in case we want to amend the list? Okay, so Councillor or Deputy Warden, Sampson's Road is like, are you open to that, to King's being number one, King being number one, and Sampson being number 4?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay,
Forgeron Road definitely has more.
right,
I'd say,
okay.
probably than the others.
Right, and it is spreading it around a little bit. There was last one that was done. Okay, so here's what I think that we've landed on, based on the length of the road, the number of people, the spreading the wealth, all of that. Kings Road in number 1 position, Twenor in number 2, Forgeron in number 3, Sampson in number 4, and Lobster Plant Road at number 5. Do I have that right based on, okay? And that we would maybe go back and get some information about the number of roads on that house, because to be honest, I wouldn't want to comment, I didn't count. And that may be something that we could amend the list based on some more information on that. It goes Kings, Twenor, Forgeron, Sampson, Arishat. Okay, go ahead.
Thank you. Thanks, Warden. The other thing I would say is I would probably lean in the direction of doing the double chip on Tenor's Lane if we thought that would save us some money on that one, because it is gravel right now. It's not like the other ones where it's pave or double chip now. You know what I mean?
The only one that's double chip now is Forgeron.
Is Forgeron. Yeah. So if double chip is eligible and less expensive, I would add that to the list.
So can we not deal
Yeah,
with that tonight?
sure,
Or
yeah,
could you
we can
ask
totally not.
for us to, like, if that's an option, maybe we could amend it
Yeah.
via an amendment at council meeting, but at least we'd get this locked in.
You got it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm looking for a motion to recommend to council that an application be submitted to the province for cost sharing paving of the following J-class roads in order of priority as follows. Kings Road in Rockdale, Twenor Lane in River Bourgeois, Forgeron Lane in West Arishat, Sampson Road in Lardoise, and Lobster Plant Road in Cape Hogan. Can I have a seconder? Seconded by, sorry, who moved it?
Oh,
I thought you moved.
yeah. Oh, sorry. I thought you, I wasn't
no,
looking
sorry.
at you,
So you're gonna
so
move that.
I'll make the motion. Yes,
Okay,
thank
can I
you.
have seconded by Deputy Warden Sampson. Any discussion on that? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carried, and we will come back to this at our council meeting with information about whether double chipping is possible, the number of people on those roads, and I'll fill Councillor Sampson in as well. Okay, so review of checks for folks following along, that those are on page 69 to 74. And then following that is the review of action items on pages 75 to 81. So I don't know if anybody has any comments on any of those either way, in either of those categories. I kind of doubled them up there, shame on me. I would like to offer just a bit of information about Pondville Beach. Just in one of our action items, it speaks about moving forward with blah, 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 blah. But I did just want to let you know that the first portion of the work at Pondville Beach is done. And so they have issued a tender for the second part of that beach work. And there's actually tomorrow, I think there's a time where any interested folks, anybody interested in that tender can go and take a look at it. It does include, apparently the numbers came in, there is actually a very nice viewing platform on the rocks that are going to be there. So that was, they weren't sure if they were going to be able to pull that off. So hope, fingers crossed that that lives to see the end of day there. Nothing else. There are no other items on the agenda, so we'll open up now for a 15-minute question period. We'll take questions from by phone. If you're watching at home, it's 226-9885. Slight delay as always, so we'll wait for a minute to see if we get any takers.
The delay opening for the arena, does that go out on the blank alert as well?
We're thinking about it, whether, because I think we do the delay on the opening? I think we did full county-wide alert. So I think the first one, so we'll probably do the follow-up as an update. we could use it as well for the stuff being mailed out, Kathleen, because that'll hit everybody that has signed up. Yeah, so we can do that.
Okay, I think enough time has passed, Shelley. Would that be fair to say? Okay, so seeing there are no other items on the agenda, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.